the updates that have been coming in from neighboring Pakistan, because it seems to be projecting as a role of a peacemaker, and Islamabad talks are expected to get underway as soon as the arrival of the US delegation is concerned. But on part of Iran, there has been a heavy-duty delegation that has now arrived in Islamabad, a 70-member plus strong delegation. That includes Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. It includes also, when it comes to the Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, individuals who are part of the Defense Council, and of course when it comes to the Governor of the Central Bank of Iran and several members of parliament as well. This visit also gains a lot of significance as far as Pakistan is concerned, which seems to have laid out a red carpet welcome for the Iranian dignitaries, for the Iranian delegation, which have now arrived in Islamabad. However, there seems to be certain preconditions which Iran says and confirmed that has been accepted just before as far as its Islamabad talks are concerned. But those very preconditions is something that US has not given any confirmation on that yet. Mayank, good morning. What are we expecting from Islamabad talks really? Iranian side ready, US side yet to arrive.
So lots of things, people are eyeing it very keenly, and rightly so, because it has embroiled the whole globe indirectly. While when explosives are falling or the bombs are falling in Middle East and that area, it has affected the movement which was choked, vessels and all, gas supply, fuel supply, energy security for many countries. It had embroiled the whole world. But having said that, let's come back to Pakistan, the way the things are moving. Let's wait and hope the things move in the right direction, because there are lots of sore points on which every side is trying to posture in a way to get away the best out of it, actually. And for the viewers to understand, Iran has given primacy to Lebanon, and operations which are being conducted by Israel on Hezbollah, that side, primarily Lebanon, but then Hezbollah, because it is the one which is operating from that side. For US, there are two very important aspects, which includes enrichment, nuclear aspect. And the second aspect is opening of Strait of Hormuz. And for Iran, the other important aspect would be toll. If not toll, let me remind our viewers that right in the beginning, while 5 conditions were brought out by Iran, one of them was reparation cost. So Iran is organizing itself in such a way, and that includes during talk also, in such a way that whatever the cost has been pushed upon it in terms of destruction, in terms of...
So what we're going to do, Mayank, we're going to connect live with our Islamabad reporter and get a live update of what's going to happen over there, because the stage has already been set. Jinnah Convention Center in Islamabad is being said that the talks will be taking place there, and pictures from inside the convention center has already started to arrive. So let me just try once again. Irfan is the Pakistani journalist who is joining us live on the broadcast. Irfan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, perfect. Much better. Irfan, thank you very much for joining in. Can you exactly tell us, when it comes to Jinnah Convention Center that seems to have been chosen by Pakistan to hold the Islamabad peace talks, what's happening there?
Actually, Jinnah Convention Center is a place where international journalists and Pakistani journalists would be sitting there, and they'll be monitoring talks, and whatever the updates comes, they'll be getting from there. So all the facilities, they have been provided there in Jinnah Convention Center, but it is yet to be disclosed that where talks will take place, whether in Serena Hotel or in Foreign Office or in Parliament. So there are possibilities that among these places talks will be held. Otherwise, Jinnah Convention Center is a place where everything is being provided to the journalists, and international journalists they have been stationed here, and almost 100 journalists they'll be coming to Pakistan, and government of Pakistan has said that they'll be facilitated with the visa-free entry. So Iranian delegation, if I talk about the arrival of the delegations, Iranian delegation, they reached at mid of the night, and now it is expected that US delegation would be arriving soon, after 1.5 hours at least. So at Noor Khan Air Base, and they'll be coming to Islamabad, and hopefully talks would start in 4 to 5 hours.
All right. Well, the talks are expected to begin upon the arrival of the US delegation. Irfan, request you to stay on with us. We also have Dr. Jeffrey Gunter joining in. He's a former diplomat from the US. Thank you very much for taking out your time. And Mr. Arasan Singh is also going to be connected with us right now. So good morning to you as well. But pictures are something which are quite telling. ahead of this arrival of the US delegation is concerned. Now, there has been a big claim that has been made from the Iranian side. Now, Iran says that certain preconditions that it had laid before accepting the talks in Islamabad, that seems to have been approved. And this is a claim that has now been made on part of the Iranian embassy, which goes on to say that the preconditions have been accepted. Not much detailed, however, has been shared, Joy, but the preconditions, what is being said, included Lebanon. Now, is Lebanon also part of the truce, and will US accept the same?
Well, regardless of what anyone says, the most important thing is that all three delegations will be present. Now, once they are in the same room at the same time, they can decide what they want to say. The most important goal here is really peace. So it depends on how you get there is also important. But the most important thing is you have to achieve a state where people are not fighting with each other. Perhaps it's what the Prime Minister had said in a different context a few years ago, when he said that the 21st century is not a time for war. And that's exactly the point. All three sides have to accept that look, we've fought for 40 days. What really have we achieved? Have we got to where we were planning to be? The Americans wanted regime change. That hasn't quite happened. Though there has been talk about it, there's been leadership change, but not regime change. The same applies to Israel. There's no regime change that they were hoping for. Iran, meanwhile, has also achieved very little in this fighting. So let's all sit down and talk is what the overwhelming message would be. Now, if you can negotiate without fear, and not fear to negotiate, then at least there is a chance of getting somewhere.
Leaders back 40 days ago, because then, it will come back to the main objective if this war was really necessary in the Middle East. But there is a 10-point proposal that Iran seems to have set the terms of this peace plan to end the war. Because what is now Iran seeking on its point and on the conditions that it has agreed to meet the US delegation in Islamabad? It is now seeking a permanent end to the war, not a temporary truce, not just the strikes that from the US side that needs to end, but also from the Israeli strikes that are happening in Lebanon, lift all of the US sanctions which has hampered the Iranian economy for decades now, no attacks on the Iran-backed allies as far as the proxies here is concerned, which Iran refers to them as resistance fighters. Then full ceasefire on all fronts is what now Iran is seeking, and a guarantee against any future attacks on part of Israel and the US side. Now, what has Iran done in the last 40 days? It has promptly shut the Strait of Hormuz. And now for the reopening, it is seeking that per ship, that seems to be a toll that would be levied around $2 million per ship. Now it is said that it will share the fee with Oman. According to media reports, there have been also seeking a safe passage guarantee system and also rebuilding the infrastructure using this transit revenue that it is now seeking to build from the Strait of Hormuz. So let's in the meantime connect with Mr. Jeffrey. Mr. Jeffrey, sir, what is your opinion as far as when it comes to the delegation? There is a 70-member strong delegation on part of Iranian side. Last minute acceptance of the invitation, sir. On part of US, what is now J.D. Vance getting to the table?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that in spite of the comments of so many people, Iran has been devastated. Their Navy is at the bottom of the sea. Their Air Force is not anywhere. It's been destroyed. They have very limited missile capabilities. They have very limited drone capabilities. And to be honest, we got rid of their supreme leader. He's gone. And the person he was replaced with, we haven't seen at all. So he's massively, I hear he's in a coma and non-existent. So the American delegation arrives optimistic that the Iranians will negotiate a peaceful conclusion. But at the same time, in the words of President Trump, the Iranians over the last 47 years have been great bull blankers. Fill in the gaps. So with that understanding, I'm sure it'll be an open hand with Vice President Vance, very talented Vice President, very well respected, with the entire team for the National Security Council and everyone else looking for peace. But let there be no misunderstanding, no nuclear capabilities, no offensive missile capabilities, no proxy capabilities, and an open Strait of Hormuz. Those are where we're starting. We've been very, very clear about that from the beginning of the conflict.
Jeffrey, for all of the points that you have been mentioning, has there been, effective intervention on part of the United States in achieving all of those objectives that you have actually mentioned in the last 40 days? Because this picture somewhere, as Iran would be projecting, would be completely different. I just want to put out as far as what these peace talks in Pakistan are all about and how exactly it's going to be represented and by whom. So let's take a look through pictures there. What we are now looking as far as the U.S. delegation is concerned, it is being led by Vice President J.D. Vance, Steve Witkoff, the special envoy. He's part of several negotiations during conflicts, and Jared Kushner, he is a senior advisor there. He's also said to be part of the delegation. Now, a 70-member strong delegation on part of Iran has also arrived. That includes Abbas Araghchi, who's the foreign minister there, and Ghalibaf, who's the parliament speaker of Iran, along with top leaders as well when it comes to the Iranian parliament, are also part of this delegation that has arrived in Islamabad. So that seems to be, when we speak of the U.S. side, because that's what I asked, what is the United States now getting to the table? Here is what J.D. Vance has now said, the U.S. Vice President, who is leading the U.S. delegation, expressing his confidence for a positive outcome from the negotiating table in Islamabad. Let's listen in.
We're looking forward to the negotiation. I think it's going to be positive. We'll, of course, see, as the President of the United States said, if the Iranians are willing to negotiate in good faith, we're certainly willing to extend the open hand. If they're going to try to play us, then they're going to find that the negotiating team is not that receptive. So we're going to try to have a positive negotiation. The President has gave us some pretty clear guidelines, and we're going to see.
Ready for the negotiation, says J.D. Vance, but what are now we're going to hear, because on part of President Trump, he's issued another warning to Iran, because saying that if a peace deal is not reached, then the U.S. would intensify and continue with its strikes. Because we are more than 4 days into this 2-week ceasefire, but it is still a very fragile and a sensitive situation that is now being witnessed. Is Lebanon a part of this truce deal or not? Because there seems to be a second round of peace deal and ceasefire negotiations that will happen in the United States of America between Israel and Lebanon. Let's in the meantime talk about what President Trump has been saying, because he's been giving a straight warning, especially to the Strait of Hormuz, because he says that Strait of Hormuz will remain open, and they will open up as far as even without the need of any support or help from Gulf countries as well. So he's now been saying that the Strait of Hormuz will be open soon, and he's repeated that Iran has been militarily defeated.
Well, I wish him luck. He's got a big thing. We'll find out what's going on. They're militarily defeated, and now we're going to open up the Gulf with or without him. But that'll be open. We're going to be, or the Strait as they call it, and I think it's going to go pretty quickly. And if it doesn't, we'll be able to finish it off one way or the other. It's going well. The Navy's gone, the Air Force is gone, all anti-aircraft is gone, the leaders are gone, the whole place is gone. So we'll see how it turns out. So it's JD and Steve and Jared. They have a good team, and they meet tomorrow. We'll see how it all works out.
You're not going to let them toll the Strait, are you? I mean, it's international.
No, we're not going to let that. It's international water. If they're doing that, nobody knows if they're doing that, but if they're doing that, we're not going to let that happen.
Well, Shinjoy, have those objectives actually been achieved to what President Trump has been saying and highlighting?
Well, first of all, he's right on certain things. The Air Force, the Navy, the air defense. But even the air defense, how did the F-15 go down? How did the A-10 go down? But even if you assume that air defense, the radars, the SAMs, they are all gone, there are really 2 or 3 things that have to be kept in mind. First of all, even if lots of missiles were destroyed, lots of missile manufacturing factories and sites were destroyed, the missiles continued, and also the drones continued. and they've done a lot of damage. That's the first thing. The second thing, of course, is because of the war, Iran realized that it had a weapon, and a very effective weapon, and that's not a weapon that can be destroyed in any way. The weapon is the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if you have the Strait of Hormuz and you can weaponize it, which Iran did, then actually it has proved to be effective. No one asked at the beginning of the war, 42 days ago, no one ever asked about the Strait of Hormuz. Everyone assumed nothing could happen there.
And now
but
everyone is talking about it, because has the world order now changed? As Srinjoy says, 40 days ago, what was that, and how did the Strait of Hormuz used to function, and how the situation has drastically and dramatically changed? Let's get you this explainer there, because as far as the world order before 28th of February, when the joint US-Israel strikes were launched against Iran, the Strait of Hormuz was open, largely free global passage. It amounts to nearly 20% of the route that is used by globally as far as passing of their oil and big tankers and ships is concerned. We're looking at the Strait of Hormuz after, when it comes to this war, it is now controlled transit, and the ships are expected to pay a toll. And this is something that Iran has been doing and has been trying to monetize the Strait of Hormuz. Before that, before the war, oil prices were relatively stable. It was said that it was below, as far as Brent crude prices is concerned, $100 per barrel mark. However, it almost touched 120 per barrel, dollar mark, as far as when it comes to right in the middle of the war is concerned. Before the situation, as far as when it comes to this entire war is now concerned, of course, when it comes to Iran, that was under heavy sanctions. Now Iran has put that as one of the 10 points of lifting all of those sanctions on part of the negotiations that it seems would be taking in front of the US delegation as soon as it arrives in Islamabad. And Iran, however, said that it was willing to negotiate on the nuclear program. However, now this seems to be in contradiction to what President Trump has been saying, because Iran now says it has refused to halt uranium enrichment activities at all. So as far as President Trump saying that largely the nuclear facilities have been obliterated, but however, is the objective, have all of them been actually achieved? RSM Singh sir, what is your point of view here? And to also say a terror state like Pakistan is projecting itself to be a peacemaker, sir. This is an irony in itself.
Yes, firstly, one A-10 aircraft and one F-15 aircraft out of 6,000 sorties or 8,000 sorties is hardly anything to celebrate. It doesn't speak about any even modicum of air defense capability. The second thing is that, nobody expected a Strait of, this developments in Strait of Hormuz. No, I don't think so. The Iranians had displayed, they had given you a glimpse of it. Earlier they had got the Red Sea disrupted, and the world suffered. Only 50% of the ships, 50% of the ships went by the Cape of Good Hope, thus reducing the global GDP. So to say that it was unexpected, I don't buy it. The second, the most important point, and everybody is missing out. Do you know where the Fifth Fleet of the US is based? It is based in Bahrain. Now, Fifth Fleet is a huge naval force. You mean, do I understand that they have no contingency plans sitting in Bahrain about Strait of Hormuz? Thirdly, as per the UNCLOS and the rules-based, sea-based, international rules, this is nothing but maritime terrorism. What was done in Red Sea, that was also maritime terrorism. This is also maritime terrorism. You cannot behave like a gunda. Tomorrow what happens if we, sitting in Andamans, we close the Malacca Strait? Or say the British close the Gibraltar Strait, the whole world will collapse economically. So do you pander to this kind of terrorism?